Here come to order, we'll have the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Upper Chichester Township Board of Commissioners Caucus Meeting, February 10th, 2026. Ray Fuller filling in for our manager, George Needles. Can you do roll call, please?
Yes, Commissioner Olliston,
Here.
Commissioner Hankins,
Here.
Commissioner Gaudioso,
Here.
Commissioner Biacco,
Here.
Commissioner Burkowski,
Here.
Mike Karate,
Here.
Andrew Pokel,
Here.
Caitlin Hill, and myself, Ray Fuller, present.
Thank you. We have a couple presentations tonight, actually just one, but the others will be coming under public comment. I have a presentation tonight on a proposed change to the township zoning ordinance to allow for data centers as a conditional use in the I industrial and the TLC, Township Line Road Commercial District. Presentation will be presented by Brian Siddell Planners.
Good evening, everybody. First of all, I know this isn't the first meeting with the commissioners this year, but it's the first one that I presented to you. So welcome to the new commissioners and congratulations to all of you on your new roles this year. Secondly, thank you again for your trust in me and confidence and as a reappointment to be a township planner again for this year for the Upper Chichester Township. Again, Brian Seidel, Township Planner. What I'm here to discuss tonight is a change to the ordinance to regulate data centers. The data centers have been a hot topic for pretty much everywhere recently. What we're trying to do here is to get ahead of those any impacts for the data centers and provide regulations for them. We did provide a draft of these regulations presented with the Planning Commission last month. I believe we have in the packet in that same information that was presented to the Planning Commission. However, prior to tonight's meeting, I did provide a second copy or an updated copy of those regulations that basically been updated to reflect comments provided from the Planning Commission. Comments that were received at the Planning Commission meeting and notes from the Planning Commission members afterwards. Essentially what we've done is provide a red line copy so you can see what was presented previously and what changes we've made. Just making sure everybody can hear me okay on the microphone. All right. So first of all, we have the regulations. I also have some exhibits up on the screen in front of you. First exhibit here is just the township zoning map. And as you indicated, the areas that we're looking at are the township line corridor zoning district and the industrial zoning district. So the industrial district is the yellow areas at the top and basically in the east side of the township here, a little bit along Market Street. And then the township line commercial district is this area along Township Line Road in pink. Where you go to the next page is basically the same general area. We provided with an aerial photograph, parcel map, and we've identified a little bit more clearly the individual parcels in the areas underneath those districts. When we're drafting the ordinance, one of the things that we want to look at is that it's restrictive and provides regulations, but also that it's not too restrictive or excluding potential development here. So what we did in this exhibit is showing that the I industrial district has about 62 parcels, and there's about 18 parcels in the township line commercial district. Next, if you go to the page, please. So here is kind of a breakdown of those areas. Number one at the top is energy, large area. Number two, some partners, some oil. We also have Number 3, the CSX rail yard. Number 4, what I'm calling the East Market Street area. And number 5, the West Market Street area. And then the east and west sections of the township line area, TLC district. When we break down those areas, one of the things that we look at in our regulations is requiring a minimum tract size of 20 acres. So what we did here is identify those areas. Originally, we looked at this just to identify the parcels that were over 20 acres. This exhibit takes a little bit further to be conservative and see what the impacts would be if several parcels were to be consolidated together to assemble a 20-acre parcel. Arguably, where could they go? So this exhibit, I believe, is a little bit more conservative in terms of showing all of those areas. True. Thank you. Next page. And the next page that is showing here is basically a depiction of the key regulation. Well, there's several standards that are provided in the written ordinance. One of the major issues and topics of the ordinance is to address setbacks standards. So we did kind of a detailed look at these different areas with a couple different features. Again, we've identified the numbers of the areas that discussing here, those parcel areas, and then several setbacks. So we're identifying with A, B, and C on this map. The regulations that we're providing here, subject A, this area here, for example, over in this area, that is a 300-foot setback from residential districts and residential uses. The plan that was originally discussed with the Planning Commission was at 200 feet. Recommendation for a setback of 200 feet. The Planning Commission recommended an increase to 500 feet. What we're showing here is 300 feet. I'll get into the details of those later. And then we're also looking at this map, subject C, one of the regulations, setback for schools. We're showing the 500-foot setback on school, which would be basically up in this area here. I believe even the school issue or impact into this area. In the ordinance, front of you, everywhere this would be permitted by regulations, that's a conditional use. So that application will come back before the commissioners for review and for approval. As indicated, we are identifying this as being permitted in the TLC and the industrial district. We require 20-acre lot size. I'm going through the written ordinance here and addressing the changes that were made from the previous ordinance. Previously identified a 200-foot setback from residential uses and districts. We increased that to 300 feet. We're also providing a standard that indicates loading docks, truck maneuvering areas have to be set back that same 300 feet from residential districts or residential property owners. The building design guidelines requiring architectural building elevation to be provided to address building facade requirements that are provided in the proposed regulations. We've also adjusted the regulations pertaining to landscape berms and landscape screening that would be required as part of the application to increase the height of those berms. One of the changes that I've done was discussed with the Planning Commission specifically, but was something we thought looking at this closer and comparing this to the industrial zoning district itself. We had previously provided a parking requirement of 1 space per 500 square feet. Looking at the other industrial regulations, we're suggesting to increase that to 1 space per 1,000 square feet. When you look at data centers, that they're usually low usage occupied and structures. There was an application saw recently. They were proposing 110,000 square foot data center that was only going to have 6 employees. So at 1 space per 1,000 square foot, that building would require 110 parking spaces, which again, that regulation is consistent with the district standards for warehouse and similar uses that are currently permitted. We also expanded the regulations for exterior lighting to basically expand on the regulations that the township currently has in their zoning code, basically providing more protections to those residential areas. We also provided in sections regarding impact statements, provided several updates to these areas, air quality, just to clarify that the standards or the what's provided will not materially degrade existing ambient air quality. We made some adjustments to the safety emergency response plan section to address the township fire marshal, duly designated emergency services officials to review the application. We also provided additional regulations that the applicant needs to provide safety and security measures or identify security measures that will be provided and controls for the facility. And the other thing that we identified in here was for the applicant to provide an assessment of the township equipment and services to service facility effectively. In the noise standards, we clarified some standards regarding noise and clarified how they would be measured, what would be measured, and clarified the timing for emergency backup generator use. Actually, I guess and closer to the end of the ordinance here, provided regulations for compliance reporting, that every 3 years after occupancy, facility owner needs to provide a report identifying compliance and adherence to the township performance standards. I expanded that a little bit more to include requests or requirement for the applicant, facility owner to include all identified deficiencies and measures to improve or mitigate those impacts. Just so we have a record of what was done. For example, one of the discussions in our office was, say there is an emergency generator that's extremely loud because one of the mufflers has gone in. And that became its own issue, or an issue with the code enforcement officer, just identifying what has been done, so we have a record of those regulations. Another item that we added into this is regarding modifications. One of the concerns I had was, let's say an applicant goes through the conditional use process, they get approval for a 100,000 square foot building, and after it's developed 2 years later, they come back and they want to expand that facility or change that facility. Now, equipment may move closer to the residential areas. So we basically put a clarification in here that modifications to the site plan approval would require essentially a renewed conditional use application to be filed. And then we previously provided a decommissioning section regarding the facility, but we expanded that to clarify that facility owner or applicant would need to provide a financial security for the decommissioning of that facility. Previous ordinance that we presented to the Planning Commission, I did have the opportunity to work with your solicitor to review some changes and go back to the solicitor. I will say that did not afford him that opportunity to review these changes this evening. I don't believe they are substantially different. I think it might be worth Rodney taking a look at this and providing it to some as well. Be completely finalized or provided for advertising. But here this evening, I would certainly like to hear any comments, concerns that you might have, and anything else that we can address into these regulations. We can certainly work with the township to address any concerns.
Thank you, Brian. I'll start with the board. Anybody have any questions for Brian? This is,
Just if you can explain to the residents exactly what some of these areas are, these few areas where this would be allowed. Like one's a Township Line Road where it backs up to 95, you know what I mean? They're away from all houses.
So the industrial, I guess, in big picture, the industrial zoning district is what I would consider to be the most, or allow the most impactful uses within the township. This is where, again, Sun Oil Refinery, Monroe Energy is located. We have the trucking facilities along Market Street. We have the CSX rail yard. So it is the, highly intensive, industrial uses that are currently permitted in these areas. So when we started looking at the data center regulations, provide protections from residential areas or to the residential areas. This was one of the first location that we went to. Previously, a few years ago, we also enacted the township line commercial corridor ordinance in this area. Again, a very, very industrial area. And the idea was to encourage these type of larger commercial uses in these areas as well. So we felt after looking at this and looking at some of the planning commission's comments to make sure we're not too exclusionary and restricting where these can go too far, we figured we'd bring in the TLC district. It's at the edge of the township, adjacent to 95, 322, and Market Street. So basically all the areas that would have a direct or fairly close direct access to state roads. And on this map specifically, it may be tough to see the wall here, but in this area, for example, you can see a black hatch pattern. That black hatch pattern extends into these areas, so you can see what a 300-foot buffer looks like. So, one of the concerns was the Twin Oaks community. And if we look at Excelsior Village in Twin Oaks, with the CSX rail line is still in between there, but again, provide that 300-foot buffer from those residential areas that would be provided. So the idea behind this exhibit is to attempt to show the impact of these regulations on this area that I'm calling West Market Street, for example. There's no parcels in there that are 20 acres in size. So indirectly, I don't think it's permitted there. However, there are enough smaller parcels. And again, if they were all consolidated, I believe the data center could be established there. But again, it would be in a small area in the center. So while I believe it's not likely, it's not impossible. Data center could be developed.
So maybe to frame our discussion was to, currently the ordinance arguably does allow for data centers in different zoning districts, but we don't have any regulations. So while this is kind of being framed as us allowing for data center, it's really us putting in regulations for data centers. And to explain a little bit further, we have catch-all provisions in our couple of our different zoning district sections that say anything of the same general character is allowed by special exception. But those don't have any of these standards. So this is really just us putting T standards in, regulating the use that is coming in a lot of places. We just want to make sure get ahead of the curve so that we're putting in provisions that we want to see protected for something that we have to address at some point. Very good. Thank you.
any other questions, board?
We talked about limiting height. And I think I addressed the board at my understanding that the height limit for the buildings would be particular to that zoning area. Is that still the same case?
Correct. We don't have, in this proposed ordinance, we don't have any building height regulations specific. So yes, it would be, height would be regulated by the underlying zoning. Top of my head, I forget the industrial,
50 feet in the industrial.
the TLC district is, does have provisions that you can go up to a 70-foot building height. So if there are standards or restrictions that, like, say, building height, that would be some building.
So TLC is 70 feet, the township line.
Yes,
Yeah.
basically, I think it's written that it's 50 feet, but can be increased to 70 if building setbacks are.
I think that was put in when originally 20 years ago, when that plan first came in front of us. It was gonna be, like a high rise 55 and over community, but that plan's since gone away.
Well, it's in there.
I know, but I don't know, Mike, you could answer this. I mean, when they applied for that, it was the existing ordinance, can we change that?
We could change it.
Okay,
Yeah, we can change the PLC.
because no one has a plan that would be that high right now, basically, right?
Yeah, right. I'll look at it too for a little bit further. That.
So we could try to bump that down.
Hey, real quick, I think just for the sake of the community, we use the term data center, but for those who aren't familiar to what an actual data center is, you think you can give us a little more insight on what that term means?
Sure. So one of the things that we provided in the ordinance is a definition of a data center. So actually, there's a couple of definitions, a data center accessory use, and we're also providing a definition of substation. So definition for a data center is a facility or facilities used primarily for the housing operation and or co-location of computer and communications equipment for handling, storing, and backup electronic data from both on-site and off-site locations. Data center may also include permitted data center accessory uses and located on the same lot. We are clarifying in the definition that an energy generation system designed or used to supply power directly to the data center shall not be considered part of the data center use. So basically that we're providing that as a separate use. It would be subject to separate regulations. And then the accessory uses definition for that does include utility lines, substations, pump stations, water towers, mechanical equipment that would go into support them. Essentially, data center the data center use itself. It's basically a whole building that's part housing computers, computer servers, and computer style equipment.
The only other question I have would be the residential. Right now, you guys changed from 200 to 300 feet. Is there a guide there? Or is there a max that we can go out to in regards to how many feet where that be from the residential areas?
I wouldn't say there's a maximum area. I've seen, there are several model ordinances that are out there right now. We reviewed several of them and took what we liked and what we didn't, or, added what we did like, took out what we didn't, changed some regulations. So those standards are kind of all over the place. The one thing that we did look at here is what is consistent with other standards of the township and the other industrial uses. What would be the impact? And what we have to again consider if we are allowing these in the industrial district where very intensive industrial uses are permitted, what is an appropriate standard that's consistent with those? Again, our initial recommendation was 200 feet. Planning Commission recommended 500. When we looked at, if we will change it to a 500-foot regulation, this area that I showed here, what I'm calling West Arnold Street, it would eliminate that, a 500-foot standard in that area. And it starts to pinch some of the other areas. One of the other actually main areas here down in the TLC district, in between the TLC district is the township's really only mobile home district area. The way it's currently written, my interpretation of that is that we're providing a setback from that district, we're okay as a resident district standard. So if we were to provide a 500-foot setback from that, it does meet barriers. However, the alternative would be to eliminate that from the setbacks or the restrictions. And if we were to do that, I think we could. I'd be more confident that we would provide a 500 foot setback. If that would be the desired.
Brian, most of these parcels that you showed us for the industrial, probably 75% of them are already occupied. I mean, except for the TLC. I mean,
Yes.
I mean, you have one, I think it's number 5 up there. That was one of my questions. I was going to piggyback what Joe was saying. They could consolidate to get 20 acres to, but that doesn't mean they could still put it there because they may not hit the setbacks to residential or schools or whatever in those areas.
Correct. We didn't do a detailed dive into each individual parcel. We generally looked at areas. So if we looked at a 200 foot residential setback versus a 500 foot residential setback, what would that impact be? And that's essentially what this is showing.
So-
It doesn't take into account any pipelines, utility lines, other restrictions that might be there in any.
So with the rail car CSX, I don't know how big that parcel is. They do have a lot of empty land towards I-95.
Correct.
They could come to us to subdivide the 20 acres if they had extra 20 acres to put a center there.
Correct.
I mean, because they can't put it on the same parcel, or can they? With the railroad, if the railroad's 50 acres, they're only using 25, that means they got 25 more acres. They can't go and put a building up as a data center and lease it to them? Would that be a legal question to like?
Yeah, I'll have to look at it, because each zoning district might depend on whether they allow more than one principal use.
But it doesn't stop them to subdivide the land.
Correct.
To be able to either sell it to somebody or lease it, or. But it's still along I-95 and 322, so it's not in the residential area.
That's
And with all these setbacks that we've implemented for the new ordinance.
That's
I think
correct. That was, my other comment will be, that we're looking at 1 or 2 regulations regarding setback of residential, but there's also additional standards regarding landscaping, screening, buffering that would need to be provided as well. So I think in order to do that, it would still, in theory, if that concept were to happen, there would need to be paving that would be removed to accommodate those landscape buffers and types of changes. But yes, I guess to answer your initial question, you're right. Several of these properties are occupied, if not completely, partially. And that's one of the things that we look at. What happens with these undeveloped portions of these properties. The Sun Oil property, for example, is 264 plus or minus acres. A large parcel, but there's also some large areas that are undeveloped there.
Yeah, wetlands, right?
There are some wetlands, specifically around that northern section up in this area. There's wetlands or floodplain for up in that area. So basically the area that's wooded, not all of that wooded area, but a portion of that wooded area does need wetlands.
Is there any kind of restrictions on how close to waterways like creeks, ponds or whatever that these could be? Because supposedly they put off some unhealthy stuff.
We don't have any standards regarding setbacks from waterways.
We have the underlying zoning.
What's that?
We have them in the underlying zoning for any use. Parent corridor.
I'm trying to think. I was going to say, I'm not sure that we have any other standards specific to that.
Is that it for the commissioners? I'm going to open it up to the public comment on this, on just this one issue. If there's anybody out there that has a public comment, they could come up to the podium, state your name and your address. Brian, you might not want to go too far.
I just have. Opinion. In the zoning, I would ask, and if it's not already there, suggest, that's the big question on 71 is, power usage and water. Water consumption. Anyone now, that's how much matters. If there is an opportunity, fire, renewable energy versus, thousands, millions, gallons, depending on how big the data centers think which are. I would look into that if there's something that can put out there, if it's not already, that is definitely something that data centers. And also the power. You hear a lot of people talking about their electric bills are coming. Data centers have a lot to do with it. I don't know if there's guidelines or guardrails or we put into that, but if there's an opportunity, I would ask them. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I may address that?
Sure.
So first, all of the items that you raised, we have been addressed and discussed, and I believe we do provide standards for them in the regulations. One of the first things that I didn't touch on, there are several ways of cooling these data center systems. In one ordinance that I looked at, it was the industrial zoning district where they were proposing to allow these was adjacent to a major river. That allowed basically water to flow in, for lack of a better word, water to flow into the data center, cool the data center, and be discharged back into the stream. There's also air-cooled methods, and there's what we are identifying in our regulations as a closed-loop water system. Basically a geothermal system that would allow us to go into the ground, but it reduces water consumption and water usage, and in my opinion, potential for groundwater contamination. So that's one aspect that we tailor these regulations to require that type of use for air-cooled or closed-loop systems specifically to reduce water usage. Additionally, the other comments that were raised regarding power, electric generation, and water, we did provide regulations for water supply, for water feasibility study. So the applicant needs to identify their anticipated water usage, how they would serve the facility with detailed standards. And then we also provided a section regarding electrical disturbances and requesting applicants shall provide documentation from applicable electric service providers, certifying the necessary capacity is available. The service provider will serve the data center, perceive potential and or anticipated impacts on electric rates or availability for other nearby uses directly attributable to the data center project shall be noted. So again, taking things a step further to say, is there going to be any impact on the community, not only on usage, but also the potential for rates?
Follow up on that too, Danielle. Just because we're asking for that information doesn't mean we can turn one down. That's kind of like one of those like fair market value. Is it going to affect my property value if something goes in? Since they're separate public utilities, we can't control them or their rates, and it's probably like a million factors that roll into how they can calculate them anyway. It's certainly something we want information on when the application comes in. But I don't want everybody to be thinking like, okay, we can then control the rates for it. Yeah.
Thank you. Next.
Matthew Broderick, 3995 Naaman Street Road. Again, to piggyback off of what she said, these data centers are known, these are just facts, to increase kilowatt hour costs in every area that they're in. Basic supply and demand. Our electric bills are already some of the highest in the country per kilowatt hour. And I don't know about you, but my electric service is so bad, I have to go out and buy 9-volt batteries every few months just so my alarm clocks don't lose the time. Is there any potential for an ordinance to be passed to demand that these things at least produce their own energy through solar, wind, anything? Or are we going to let them tie into our already aging infrastructure?
I can give you the answer. It's not gonna be satisfying. Yes or no?
It's not satisfying, you're correct.
Gotcha.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
My name is Greg Trader and I live 2355 Douglas Avenue. I'm in the old Twin Oaks area. Neighborhood, we border CSX, that operation. I don't know what went on when CSX was out to establish themselves. But they operate in my destination in an unsafe environment. There's a natural gas line to the plant adjacent to that problem, with no barrier between those lines and the CSX operation. Matter of fact, there are rail tracks that allow for cars, train cars, rail cars to pull alongside. There's all there is between the natural gas lines and that rail line where the cars come in at, that they unload all night, is a chain link fence. So you're talking about, and that's area 3. So you're talking about neighbors having we already put up with noise pollution, light pollution, particularly bad in the winter when all vegetation, stuff like that. And now you're talking about allowing maybe the subcontracting of an area for a data center. You're going to get a lot of pushback from residents who live over there, including myself. I'm not standing before you as a member of the planning commission. I'm standing before you as a citizen that lives in that area. But what I'd like, since we're here to talk about an amendment to the ordinance, I think that we should be trying to set a standard for that ordinance, as opposed to looking how we can allow for it to be amended or lowered, whatever that standard might be, to allow something to come in. How do we raise the standards of these ordinances, that anything that does come in have to meet, we were talking about setbacks. Now, the reason we offer 500 for setbacks and opposed to 300 because we're thinking of the residents that are there and the impact that we're already dealing with the business. Well, we're already dealing with quite a few businesses in that area. But then when you propose to put more in there, I think that the residents themselves should be higher than the problem list of what you consider and impact statements that you might want to get. You may want to get an impact study that is designed for an area trying to allow them to come into. So it can't be like a one-size-fits-all type impact study for all the different communities, but one that we go in and we look at, okay, how is this going to impact the residents that are in this particular versus others. We're also dealing with the amount of traffic, 322 and 95. So ourselves and Excelsior Village, we're just squeezed by those two highways. So I suggest, or I'd like to see you guys take all that into consideration as you're trying to put this amendment or put these amendments together. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment regarding the data centers? If not, we'll move along to our regular meeting. We have an announcement. Monday, February 16th is President's Day. Township offices and the Joan Morrison Fieldhouse will be closed. Monday's regular recycling routes will be collected on Tuesday, February 17th, along with Tuesday's regular recycling routes. We're going to open up the public comments again for the agenda, what's on the agenda. But before we do that, I'm going to turn it over to Mike Crotty, our solicitor. We have a couple, I don't know if we're having any public comments or just some statements or anything for
Yes,
the other
um,
individuals?
Disappeared. So on the zoning here, down in the manager's report, we have the zoning hearing board cases. I know we have the two attorneys, for those here tonight. CHP hearings is coming up about this next week for those hearings, so it will be before our next meeting. When a zoning hearing board application comes in, obviously that the judge of that is the zoning hearing board. We have the opportunity to either support an application, object to it, or take no position. And if we object to it, you have the decision to make, but you send us to actively fight it some way, or you send a letter with your comments. So with the two applications, the first one, Leonard Altieri is here. It's the former Rite Aid building at 3210 Tri-Ave. It's in the C1 zoning district. They're looking to do a, I believe, use variance to change that to a car wash. That, again, is before, the materials for it are in our packet. It's down lower in the zoning hearing board cases portion of the manager's report, but since they're here, public's also here. Now's probably the time to have him and then the other attorney walk us through their request.
Thank you very much, Mike, and I think it's fitting in the following expertise and it's well, a data center issue. So I don't have any handouts, because our system kind of shut down. But I've been informed by Mr. Eagles that plan that we're discussing right now. You should all have it in your packet. I will provide electronic copies to the solicitor, including the tonight's meeting. And I will also provide the solicitor.
I've got it.
You also have, but you don't still all have to that well, what do you have on that?
I've got the plans and the applications.
Okay, so I'll just send it to you today. That's what well. So as Mike Ryan said, my name is Leonard Altieri. I'm the citizen of the law from Claire Harrison, Harvey Brandsburg, representing the applicant. The property is 3120 Chichester Avenue. The applicant is Phoenix Express Auto Wash LLC. Subject property is located in the C1 neighborhood commercial zoning district, and it is, as Mr. Ryan said, former Rite Aid. What we're seeking for the zoning hearing board, which our hearing is on Wednesday, the 18th, is a variance to allow for a car wash to operate. A car wash will otherwise not permitted in the C1 neighborhood commercial zoning district, that we are seeking what Mr. Ryan referred to as a use variance. What we will do, as shown on the plan, is we're not proposing to demolish anything with regards to the existing Rite Aid. We will also not be expanding the existing structure, but rather our goal is to repurpose and operate within the confounds of the existing building footprint, existing property boundaries. Essentially just keeping that commercial use that is building and operating on the site. The applicant, as I said, is Phoenix Express Auto Wash LLC. They are following the umbrella company of Express Wash Concepts. Now, this is the deck I'm going to provide Mr. Project. Unfortunately, I was going to provide everyone for this meeting. But Express Wash Concepts owns 5 different national car wash brands: Boo Boo Express, Flying Ace Express, Clean Express, which is the brand that we'll be bringing to hopefully Chichester, and then also Clean Express, Clean Green Express, and Deep Clean Express. Clean Express was founded in 2020. We're operating currently in 3 locations: Greater Cleveland area, Toledo, Pittsburgh, Detroit. Company itself, Express Wash Concepts, currently operating 132 funnel locations, express funnel locations in Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Virginia, North Carolina, and Indiana. In regards to Clean Express's footprint in Pennsylvania, we're currently located on the eastern side of Pennsylvania and starting to break down into the I-95 corridor. We do have 30 locations under contract that are under contract in the planning stage for construction. In 2025, the company as a whole washed around 22.3 million cars. We are a membership-driven car wash. We have, as of 2025, 560,700 car washes, equates to around 4,300 members per site. The investment that we're looking to do in this location in particular, anywhere from around $65 to $7 million. We have the highest environmental standards. We're not using any sort of toxic chemicals. they're not using anything that you couldn't find underneath your kitchen sink, quite frankly, it's all household supplies. Common misconception that it's strong soaps that's gonna clean your car, the reality of the situation is it's friction, right? So, the machinery that we have in there is really what's going to be providing that wash. Our water usage is only 20 gallons of water. The older car washes, the average is anywhere around 120 to 150. Also, what the average is, if you're gonna wash the car in 120 to 150 pounds. Our car wash don't use around 20 gallons per car. We have obviously a reclamation systems, so that is being three tanks. There's that we're being filtered and cleaned throughout the day. We are using the SD technology with regards to our lighting to the technology, which will drop down the noise with regards to the tunnel, as well as the active units that we'll get into later. The system's turned off on a car, not the tunnel. So it's good the hours of operation are happening. Doesn't mean that our tunnels can be operating. If the car is not in the tunnel, then the fan blowers are not on. So it is, by and large, for technology, quite use. LED lighting is what we're going to be using for the entire site. It's going to be an increase. So we're going to look currently on the site right now. Again, the old lights that we have in the existing ready facility. We're proposing right now with regards to our hours of operation. It'll be a 7-day-a-week operation. We're looking at doing Monday through Saturday. Monday through Saturday, it will be around 8 to 8, and then on Sunday we would have reduced hours workout township. We're looking at around 5 employees, 3 to 4 employees per shift. And what would happen there is you would have one person taking kiosks, you would have one person who's managing people coming to the tunnel, and then any record levels people that are in a certain day the site makes it to 3, make sure that there's no issues with regular circulation, as well as addressing any of those concerns that they may have as they're using it actively. Turning over to the plan that they provided everyone. Again, we're proposing to stay within the 4 walls of this existing site. With regards to egress, customers need to be coming on to see the Improvement Road, travel around the site. We're currently showing 2 lanes, which shows for about 20 cars for stacking. The cars would then progress through the tunnel. I'm just going to show this before, but I apologize to have that back up. The customers come in, go down, stack the lane. We're showing 2. There's also looks like a third. It's going to be the bailout lane. So if there's any issues, if there's a truck that has materials that can't, nothing from seat, right, go in there. If there's other issues, for instance, machinery breaks down, there's a bailout lane for cars to be able to pull off and go out. Cars will go through the tunnel. It will then exit the tunnel. There's 2 options with regards to vacuuming your car. We're proposing 15 interior vacuum spaces. So they can pull out of the tunnel and turn right back in. There's 15 vacuum booms here. Or there's also 16 exterior vacuum booms that are located along the border of the property. Again, the use of procedure is use variance for car wash to be used in the C1 neighborhood commercial zoning district, and our zoning district is on February 18th. If there's any questions, that you can answer. And again, I'll take it here. We'll have some from the speak in greater detail for the operation. People ask, that's all right.
Anybody got anything?
Yeah, I have some questions.
Go ahead.
The car wash tunnel. You said that, if I understood correctly, at night, you're gonna leave it open? Is there any doors you like close it with at night?
The tunnel will not be open at night.
Okay,
I said that.
all right. And then you say you're not gonna tear the building down, but you're gonna do some major renovations to it. Right, because that's the only way you're gonna get those interior vacuums. Okay.
And it's on.
Has anybody, I know this is really preliminary stuff, but I'm assuming you guys walked the building to see if this is feasible?
Yeah, so we can believe it is people. We are not, if you have this other agreement of sale, pending any zoning, those minutes that we have.
Okay.
I think it's also kind of like actually we're gonna have a local manager, whether it's stuff out, property that. We do believe it's feasible from an engineering perspective.
Okay.
This is the model that we've adopted, not just because of what's going on with Friday, but other sites where, it has been shut down, we're bringing it in.
And there only be a simple office here. There's not gonna be like a little store you can go in and buy air fresheners
That's
or
correct.
a little car. Okay. All right. All right, thank you.
So you're buying the building, not leasing it. So your sole intention is a car wash and nothing else.
That's correct. We do have as part of the zoning exhibit, submitted the equipment sale, which again. You know, it's a full property.
Any other questions from the board?
You
I-
know there's another car wash right behind you.
We are familiar.
I have a question. The
I
lot,
guess the only, Commissioner Cody, so I apologize, but you know, there, I would say there is, you know, beauty of this, is you don't need to get out of your car.
Right. Right.
I think that over the last 10 days, where we've had below freezing weather, I think we all appreciate some computer vacuuming, not accessibility. That's the only, I guess, what's changing.
Okay, thank you.
now, the lot next door, you have any plans for that next door? Because that's all one lot, right?
That is correct.
You have 2 acres
It is. Those team, I see our silver basin.
in the, close to the Boothland Road,
Say one.
close to Boothland Road, in the back.
Yeah, so, again, while we're moving on to demolish anything, if there's any sort of site issues such as retention basin not working the way that it needs to work, something like that. One good thing about the client, is that they will bring everything back up to this. So if any issues with regards to this, I think, I heard a comment from someone who recently filed the application, people think of that, we will definitely look at it.
Okay. Then you said there's some vacuums on the outside of the building, which would be facing Wendy's.
That is correct.
Is there going to be any kind of buffer behind them in Wendy's parking lot?
Yeah, so we will, you know, I don't have, we're not showing up.
Right.
We don't have a landscape plan, but we will comply, we're not seeking any sort of variance with regards to setback or anything like that, so, it's our intent.
Okay, thank you very much.
If I may,
Sure. Sorry about that.
that's okay. George had asked me to review it to see if, identify if there were any other zoning issues that may come up so that the applicant has the opportunity to request a variance from the zoning hearing board or choose to address those. And so in looking at it, you know, one of the performance standards is liquid and solid waste. There was no provision on the plan that showed how you're containing the wastewater from the use and how that's being recycled. But you indicated that that was going to be addressed.
That's correct, sir.
Okay.
We are using it again, the actual zoning hearing board, I will have. But we do have a. The whole order that is used state throughout the day. And we're not constantly looking from.
And you understand that that's subject to PADEP regulations. So, yeah. Right. And then as far as stormwater, are you increasing or decreasing the impervious area on the site?
Need to be a slight reduction. I have to be an increase at all, but it will be to the year.
There's a performance standard for noise. And it's measured at the property line for the building or, well, at the property line. For commercial businesses, it's 7 AM to 10 PM, 65 decibels. 10 PM to 7 AM, plus Sundays and legal holidays, it's 60 decibels. Just in my brief research, it looks like some of those vacuums could be up to 75 decibels. Now, perhaps the vacuums that you're providing that you indicate with the boom operation are less noisy, so to speak. But if you put in 10 in a row, the average sound level could increase from just one. And so, yeah.
Not satisfied. That, yeah, that's what, you know, it's full lower. I will lower that sound. You also, with regards to the exterior back of the, when it comes to pumps, normally we have a landscape there, lab, and other stuff like that, but we've always complied, in other municipalities, and we're not going to come here and find that, so understand that your requirement.
Understand that there's a residential district that is to the southwest of this property, and so there are buffer requirements and screening requirements that are particular to buffering and screening to that residential district, so there's that. Parking requirements, it looks like there's enough real estate on the property to comply with all the off-street parking requirements for the zoning district. I didn't see an off-street loading space, but that would be required. Any proposed signage would have to conform with the Article 19 of the zoning code for signs. The existing ADA ramps at the driveway thresholds appear to be not up to current ADA standards, and so they would have to be upgraded to ADA standards. All refuse, how would refuse be handled for the site?
But what traditionally happens is, that does have with regards to event traffic. But normally would have to
Lighting facilities just have to have glare, excessive glare and hazard controls. And then the other requirement was, that the car wash is permitted as a conditional use in the C2 district. This is C1 district. But there were subject to other requirements that might be applicable to this. And it really only says that headlights should be screened. So I would say that, pay attention to screening and buffering of the headlights as vehicles are coming out of the tunnel or something like that. So landscape plan would have to comply with that. So other than that, that's all I have.
Leonard, any reason why there are outdoor vacuums? If there's the indoor vacuums, why not just get rid of the outdoor vacuum?
I think from my perspective, it's going to be, there is, even if it's 5 degrees out, people who would prefer to act are outside, from an operations perspective, so the interior and the exterior, we can have a conversation about building out exterior vacuum, but as part of this, we want to do have some.
Yeah, that's what I'd suggest, because you have 16 outside, 15 inside. It seems like it's overkill. We probably want to guide people to the inside or the outside.
Okay. Thank you very much.
So the next zoning hearing board application, sorry, the next zoning hearing board application for next week will be for United Rentals. It's for the property at 146 Chichester Highway. It's in the industrial district. It backs up to like the railroad tracks. They're proposing, this is not a use variance, use is allowed. They're proposing outdoor storage of some of the materials associated with their use. I understand it. It's a storage company that does those like storage pods, like the shipping containers, and they drop them off. And then they stack them on site to store them. And that goes above what the zoning officer reviewed would be the allowable height for those. It's 29 feet for proposed. So they're asking for, they're challenging that decision by the zoning officer, but also asking for leave from them.
That's correct. Good evening. My name is Ryan Brumall. I'm attorney for the writer of Greco here this evening on behalf of United Rentals Realty LLC. But United Rentals is a nationwide international company that is engaged in the renting of commercial equipment, industrial equipment. This specific facility that United Rentals will be operating from would be involved in the leasing of modular office storage trailers and storage containers as well. Part of United Rentals business model in order to make it financially viable to stack those containers on top of one another in order to save space and also operational
So each container is an active height of 9.5 feet. You stack three of them on top of each other, it's 28.5 feet. Sometimes there's about 6 inches rather, so they're just giving yourself a little bit of leeway. So we're requesting dimensional variance, excuse me, to allow the stacking of those containers up to 29 feet in the industrial zoning district. The sections that we're seeking, dimensional variance relief for our 600-81 feet, which requires that outdoor storage in the industrial zoning district when in order for non-industrial properties in rear yard screening from neighborhood uses. Here, we're appealing that determination, but really just asking for variance relief to allow the stacking cases outside the rear yard and above the 6-foot screen height that is imposed by section 600-81B. This property doesn't border any non-industrial use. Also, there is significant vegetated screening here in side yards that we believe will shield storage containers from neighboring homes. To back up a bit, just to explain a little bit about where this property is, it's 106 on Chichester Highway. From the earlier presentation, it was one of the puzzles in number 4 moving of East Market Street area. It's about a 5-acre parcel, but the rental with variance was granted, would be occupying about 2 acres for the initial until about the middle of 2027, at which time they would have the option to expand their operations to the full property. The second zoning ordinance section I was seeking dimensional variance is section 600-8.5, which is a standard that applies to accessory uses in the industrial zoning districts. It says that outdoor storage containers may be used for outdoor storage if they are in the rear yard and screened from public streets. Here, these products are not our storage, they are the thing that we lease out to other businesses. So we don't believe that they're the outdoor storage in the traditional sense of a Home Depot storing products outside for sale. The use itself also is extremely low traffic. United Rentals leases these modular storage containers and modular office trailers for months and years on end. So we're not talking about multiple containers being picked up per day. So at most you're talking about 5 trips per day. They're extremely busy. And really we believe this would be a great use for Upper Chichester Township. We believe that United Rentals will be able to come in and really clean up this property more so than understand it has been probability in order to if approved, we'd be leasing the property a long-term basis, potentially provide one of those industrial uses that's not a cent for all here in Chichester.
You in sales too? But so basically, you're just gonna be stacking empty storage boxes, nothing in them when you stack them, just to save some space.
Now, are these pods? You know how the people get a pod at their house and they pick it up and take it? Are you doing any of them too? Or is this more office or?
My understanding is the bigger office, like longer office trailers, but there may be some of those pods as well, clarified out with the client for the hearing.
And they would be stacked 3 high too, or
Yes.
now will they be, and I know this happens, there's other stores or other moving companies do it, they pick it up, store it on their facility until they're ready to move, then you take it back out. So there is a possibility there'll be things stored in some of these pods.
No, so.
Are your pods are always empty?
They're always empty. If we're leasing them, United Rental employee comes to the site, pick up the product that is being leased, put it onto a trailer, take it to that client, business client, drop it off for the lease term. At the end of the lease term, United Rental will come back, pick it up, bring it back to the site. So nothing stored on site. In fact, for the initial lease term, we're not expecting to have any employees on the site. And if this were approved, then we'll long-term lease, we have at most 2 employees there. Just keep in mind that.
Just one quick question, in reference to impact to other businesses in your proposed site. What other businesses are near where you plan on placing this spot?
So this state backs up to the CSX rail yard, we were talking about earlier. It also really, I mean, it's sort of on Conchester Highway, right as you're heading about to get on 95.
Right before the bridge.
Lincoln and the city.
Right.
But,
Near
The towing company,
No.
no, it's further down, closer to the bridge.
Gotcha. Okay.
Where the tow company is?
Yeah.
It's just before that.
Yeah, just 2 questions. What is the current height restriction?
in the industrial zoning district, buildings are allowed to be up to 50 feet.
No, I'm
Be screened, so for outdoor storage.
talking about for your situation, what is the maximum height?
The zoning ordinance section says that, it must be screened behind a 6-foot fence, so that they can't be seen behind a 6-foot fence.
So we're looking for a 23-foot variance.
Yes.
Okay. And then I guess the question for my solicitor, is there any distinction between storing products in a trailer or a container versus just storing a container? Is there any difference between that?
So here, the thing they're storing is a storage container. Zoning ordinance doesn't quite, that's a
Gray area?
round peg in a square hole.
Okay. Okay.
To Ryan's point, usually when we're thinking about outdoor storage that we care about, or the planners look at, it's the
What's being,
Home Depot stacking stuff outside and other equipment.
I'm just trying to clarify if our ordinance does distinguish anything between storing products in a container versus just storing a empty container.
It doesn't, just why we're seeking the.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Everybody good?
Ryan, these will not be visible from any residential properties.
No.
Well, I was hoping, if we went that high, we could send it over towards itself to the village and give them a little buffer with the river. I mean, but I don't think we're that close to help them out with the noise anyway. Andrew, you good?
Well, similarly, I reviewed this and I have a few comments on this one as well. What was provided in the application was an aerial photograph of the site. There wasn't a plan. There is a zoning ordinance that indicates that applications for industrial uses shall be accompanied by a certification from a professional engineer registered in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The proposed use can meet the performance standards set forth in the chapter. A plan wasn't presented here. I don't know if there's where the accessory building would be located on the property. I don't know where the location of the containers that would be stacked would be located. Would that comply with yard setbacks, items like that? I think that having a plan that shows all of that, having a plan that demonstrates that vehicles coming in to rent can park on site and not have traffic stacked back up on the roadway. Items like that could be shown on a plan to demonstrate that would go a long way towards helping the zoning hearing board make a decision on that. Again, parking shall be required in yards and provided that such parking is at no point closer than 10 feet to the right-of-way line of a principal building. The principal building isn't identified on the plan.
We don't
Yeah.
have building.
Okay.
This property was simply used to have storage containers available to then take off the property and bring to another location.
Okay,
So our variant, we had contacted the township, my client had contacted the township seeking a zoning permit much a long time ago. And was told that they needed this height variance. So
our client's sort of been looking to minimize costs while we try and figure out if this is a use that our Chichester Township wants here. If the zoning hearing board decides to deny our relief, then she'll be looking for another location to
I think that the application did say that there was like a business trailer or something that would be on site that would,
in the future, one of the modular office trailers that we would offer rent to other businesses might be used to buy employees, buy to have sort of if you think about a construction site, type of modular office trailer, that's what would be there. And our employees would be occupying extremely small.
I would consider that an accessory building.
You would need a power, right? Right, water and everything. For your employees to use.
And that's, as of now, the plan is not to have any employees. We just want to make the council aware that in the future, in a couple of years, there might be, so that we don't, if it is approved, don't end up with a condition of full saying, employees on site. But yes, we would need to make sure that our employees are comfortable, if someone to go to the bath, or have electricity and everything of that nature before we ever do something.
It says all new construction on lots where there currently is no side, so I don't know if you're proposing construction or not, but sidewalk would have to be required along the highway and a curb or with handicap curb ramps and a crosswalk. Again, that would be a variance that you would have to get if you're proposing construction on the property. Accessory structures shall be located, erected, and maintained inside or rear yards only. Accessory structures shall be a maximum of 10% of the lot or 5% of the tract to be covered. And also there's lighting facilities. There's standards as far as glare and hazardous control for lighting standards within the zoning ordinance for that as well. Maximum height of light poles should be 20 feet in this district. So.
Thank you. Now, would this be gated going in and out?
Yes,
Okay.
we need to secure security system, of course, very advanced, to make sure that no one can monitor
Right.
property.
Okay. No other questions? We thank you.
Thank you.
We'll try to finish up the public comment real quick on what's on the agenda here. If anybody wants to come up one last time, so we can get moving along with the meeting. State your name and address. Public comment regarding the budget or the budget. The agenda or any other thing you have on any issues in the township.
Yes, my name is Matthew Robert, 3995 Main Street Road. I just have a question. According to some people I spoke with at the state, any appointments to any commission require a vote. Now, someone was recently appointed to the planning commission, and I can't seem to find a vote. Was there a vote or was it exemption?
There was an appointment from the commissioner in that ward.
Was there a vote?
Yes, during reorganization, when the appointment came on board, we all voted, yes.
Okay, why can I not find the vote?
It would probably be in the minutes.
It's gotta be in the minutes for the reorganization night. That's where it would
The
be.
January minutes, the reorg minutes might not be posted yet, Matt,
Okay,
but
because
George,
I was on the commission, I was never told.
but George usually posts them.
And I also have some comments about the warehouse, now that I know data centers coming for it now. Thankfully, it looks like that area is exempt. What's to prevent this from becoming much? I know I used to find old warehouses. Do we have an ordinance for prevent federal government purchasing these new warehouses?
Well, first, there's nothing on the table here in the township for any data center. Just make that
Right.
perfectly clear.
I understand.
We are,
Area.
our solicitor and us have been talking about it to have, like you said, better teeth. As Brian said, better teeth if and when they come into locations that might be zoned for it. Now the ice part, Now we go to the solicitor.
Yeah, so we'd have to review, like, they, like anybody else, would have to comply with the zoning ordinance in a warehouse while you can house goods and materials isn't fit for habitation, so we'd have to see where it would be, how it would be characterized in the zoning ordinance.
Is there any consideration of passing an ordinance around the federal government requiring warehouses in the
So we can't govern property ownership that way. We can't come in and say Baton and Broader isn't allowed to own property in the township or the federal government isn't either. We govern the uses for the zone.
If it's the federal government coming in, we don't have a foot to stand on about, do we?
No,
I mean, they, no, but
everybody's regulated to what the zoning use is. So just because we don't like somebody and what that organization might be doing, doesn't mean that we can prevent them from buying something because we oppose what ICE is doing in the country.
And this is not just from that standpoint, this is from ICE brings traffic, ICE brings protesters, ICE will reduce the quality of life on protectors.
Well, stop protesting ICE and we wouldn't have a problem.
I'm
Let's move
no,
on, guys.
Matt, I think there would be a lot of things that would have to be met, because like Mike said, that wasn't passed with the idea of it being housing people, just goods. I would.
But perhaps keep ICE will, federal government roll right through the county zone.
I mean, I
Well,
think,
we don't have that.
We didn't know that.
We don't know that. We know they bought the place and they're allowed to buy a place. Now what goes in it is when our zoning regulates everything, and then that's when we get into the position of yes or no. Or they have to come in front of the zoning board. Trust us, this whole board and our solicitor have already been, it's in our mind, it's the same way with the data center. With all the power resources, all the noise, we're trying to get ahead of the cart, put it
Because
that.
in previous years, obviously, we have not gotten ahead of it, we did not change the zoning to allow them.
Well-
On the basically transport.
Well, that's not true, because we did change the ordinance, which this whole board and the two new commissioners weren't involved with it at that time, but they do know the story. We aren't happy with what happened. We changed that ordinance, not just because of one person. We did that whole area. We're not allowed to do just his.
I understand.
We did it for what we thought was going to be the better for the township. And shame on us because it didn't happen. So, but shame on 1941 when our zoning still had it as industrial. So it could have been a lot worse than what was there with the ball fields, which the township does not own. And we changed it to be able, same way with where the warehouse is now. We changed it where we were hoping things would be better for the township, but it didn't pan out. So now we have to work for what we have for the better of the township. I mean, and not be in a lawsuit for the next 20 years and then the taxpayers are paying for it. So, other than that, we'll move on to our meeting. I thank you very much. Anybody else out there before we move along?
I think like go along, I still quality of life. What is it? You're quite often people out of Chichester. And what the area is that. What is new if you push the more industry around, you know, and I think one of the things that's important, we want to maintain home ownership and tax. You know, don't want to come down and close home ownership. Our goal is to so I think you ought to keep that in mind.
Thank you. I just want to make a comment on that only because this board has been for the quality of the people for being out taxed and everything else. Probably most of those parcels are all commercial. We're already out residential. We're built out. There's no more building in Upper Chi for residential. Most of our land is commercial. So we're trying, this board and the new board, to be ahead of the cart by making sure what comes in is for the better of Upper Chichester. What we thought was going in the ball fields didn't happen. And trust us, we're all up here very disappointed. But at the same time, I don't have 500 homes coming in, affecting the traffic, affecting the school district and everything else. Where we have commercial that would bring commercial-based tax, which gives the school district better money, gives us better money, and creates some jobs. Now, we didn't see too many jobs here tonight being created, but we do see a building that's going to possibility be used and not just sitting there empty. That's at least as a commissioner, not just a president, as a resident. That's our goal is to try to, as Brian Siddell said, Township Line Road was zoned, like Commissioner Bianca said. It was supposed, and that we were disappointed in 1980, 1990. That was supposed to be a retirement center community with their own shopping center and everything else. That this board back then changed the zoning to fit that footprint for the whole area, and it never happened. Then he came back to us and wanted to change it again and again. So we as a board and Brian Siddell as a planner had the whole area, because we're not, like I told you before, we can't just zone that one guy's parcel. We got to do the whole area. So we did it to be able to have developers wanting to come in here. Have we landed anybody? No. Do we want to? Yes. Am I a fan of data centers? No, but at least I know that we're somewhat protected now, and with the comments of the residents and the solicitor that brought this to our attention. We're looking everywhere, and trust me, as I say, there maybe stacking those offices closer to the residents might do a little barrier with the noise. I don't know. We've been dealing with the train for years, but I'm not going to say anything else. But I think we're all on the same page up here to better the quality of life, and we would love.
Well, you gotta watch some of that because it's considered spot zoning, right, Mike?
Yeah, so you gotta watch out for spot zoning, and then from a land planning perspective, residential is like candy, right? It tastes good when it first comes in, because there's a lot of property transfer fees that you get. Everyone gets all excited, there's new homes in, it's gonna bring the market value up, and then there's more traffic, more police activity, there's more kids that are in the schools that have to burden the school district with more, your school taxes go up, so there's a longer term impact to residential that you have to take into account. There may be more people paying an earned income tax, more people paying real estate property taxes and school taxes, but again, like I said, it's like candy. You're never going to outpace their actual impact for what they have, or you know, their kind of usage of the schools, their usage of the roads, their usage of everything else. You want to think of our zoning and all the uses we account for and all the uses we have like an investment portfolio. You don't want all your eggs in the residential basket, because if 2008 happens again, you're searching for money, because nobody's got any money. All the residential market tanks. You want balance between EIT, real estate taxes, residential uses, non-residential uses.
The only tax base we control is your township tax. We have no input or say in how your school taxes or your county taxes go up. They're the two that have went up. We haven't raised taxes in 15 years. We can't, we don't control that. That's what I'm saying. We can only control the township taxes.
You should look into how much tax revenue is generated within the businesses and the rentals. And I think you might be surprised.
All right, we're gonna keep moving on this. We're gonna try to finish this meeting up tonight. We're gonna move to our township professionals report, engineer report. Andrew Pokel from RVE Engineers.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. There's some agenda items, and so I was going to go through the agenda items before getting to the overall report. The first agenda item is the Bergdale Park Stream Bank Restoration Project that was completed, and maintenance bond has been provided by the contractor. And so the previous township engineer was managing that project. They are recommending payment, a final payment in the amount of $3,785.21 to the contractor and for completion of that project. The next item is the 2023 Green Light Go synchronization project. This was originally reviewed, and a cost estimate was established for the project to provide, there's 6 intersections, and this would be signal synchronization and timing among those 6 intersections. This is all along Chichester Road, or Chichester Avenue, sorry. Originally, it was intended that these signals would, for lack of a better term, talk to each other through underground hard wiring from signal to signal. With new technology, it was investigated and chosen that this is going to be wireless and Ethernet switches and cellular data modem integration. And so the cost of that is significantly less. So we would be recommending a contract with Signal Service to complete that work at 6 intersections along Chichester Avenue in the amount of $34,920. So that would be to furnish and install the signal equipment for the integration upgrades. The next item is the 2026 road program. A little bit of background on road programs in municipalities. So my understanding is that the way that the township administers their road program is there's liquid fuels funds that get administered from PennDOT, and that's related to the gas tax. And then also Delaware County issues county aid funds, and those are a part of the road program as well. Both of those, both the county and PennDOT have certain requirements that the township needs to meet in order to accept those funds. We met with the county earlier this year. There was a mandatory meeting for the county aid program. One of the requirements is that they're going to now put the township on a schedule as far as the program. And so a resolution, which you have in your packet, to accept those funds and administer those towards the road program is required, and an application needs to be submitted by March 20th, 2026. Then the project needs to be advertised by June 30th of 2026, and then substantial construction completion by September 30th, 2026, and then all required PennDOT forms and paperwork needs to be completed by November 27th, 2026. So from what I understand, that's new. The county in the past has allowed you to kind of go beyond those deadlines in order to get the funding for the road program. From what I understand this year, they're not waiving those deadlines, that they're going to hold firm for that. And the county aid, I believe, is $10,000 and change. And so you would be forfeiting those funds if you didn't meet those deadlines. As far as PennDOT's requirements, they look at everything, making sure that the road program is completed in accordance with PennDOT standards. So they're looking at the type of material used for the asphalt. They look at the mixed designs for the asphalt. They look at the mixed designs for concrete that's used for ADA ramps. They require that ADA ramps be updated to current ADA standards on roads that you're resurfacing or repaving. And so they look at all of that, and then they also require forms for payment. They require material certificates for what gets placed in the road. So those are all requirements that are required by PennDOT in order to receive reimbursement of funds for the liquid fuels program. Getting to the township, in particular, Public Works went out and looked at the roads within the wards. From what I understand, there's an allocation for each ward, and that's distributed by the number of roadway miles within that ward. And so they came up with a list of roads to be resurfaced. So this would be just milling off 1.5 inches of the top surface of the roadway and then replacing it with 1.5 inches of wearing course surface. And you have within your packet the list of roads. I don't know if you want me to go down through everything, but yeah. So that's what the Public Works Director has reviewed and is recommending for resurfacing.
You have the Kingsman Park thing, Wes?
Yes, so then the other item is the Kingsman Park payment request number 9. That project is not complete. There's resurfacing of pickleball courts that needs to happen once the weather is 40 degrees and rising. And so that will not be completed until those weather requirements are met. But there was a payment request for drainage and the pipe sleeve for the pickleball courts. And so the previous engineer reviewed that, certified that the work was complete, and is recommending payment in the amount of $36,217.80.
That it? Does anybody have anything for the engineer?
I know.
That's good. Move along to our solicitor report, Mike Ryan.
Sure, so we already discussed the data center ordinance, so I'll look at the new stuff that Brian put out, as well as the comments from everybody tonight, incorporate any additional thoughts that we can take it up for consideration at our meeting later this month, or not, it's up to you guys. Then we have 4 different extension requests for land developments. The first is 801 Bethel, that would be extended until May 29th. 5118 Martin Lane would be extended till May 29th as well. 0 Garfield Ave, that's the jam, whatever it is, June 30th. And then 2671 Rockhurst Avenue subdivision extension till March 26th. Then next we have the Somerset Homeowner Association grant agreement. So in years past, the township had a arrangement that they were taking under consideration to assist the HOA with some stormwater improvements, and that was going on its merry way, but then got delayed at the HOA level because of different easements that they needed. When I came on board, one of the things we had fresh eyes on that, and instead of the township going into doing that work, we're going to be essentially creating a grant where the HOA will do the work. We have grant money set aside for them to fund that work, and that will then be reviewed and inspected to ensure that's compliant. The benefit to everybody for that is
with it not being the township that's doing the work, it's not a publicly bid process that has to get bumped up because you have to pay for all the stuff that goes along with bidding. And we've consulted with the HOA's attorney for that. They're very grateful for it. Next, the sanitation truck camper policy, working with Bud and Jean Marie for the sanitation trucks. The idea of putting truck campers in there. We created a policy for that, so that is also up for consideration later this month. Not to jump into Ray's area, but we also drafted a cell phone and computer usage policy that is also up for consideration later this month.
And that's all in our package.
That's all in the packets, yep. The, on my other category, I did talk to Mike Sioko today for the 4,800, Tri-Ave, the Panarello property. That's when he's still with his office. He's processing a, most recent escrow release. Couldn't have it by today because he just got it. He will have it for our, for action, I think. That's all.
Anything for the attention of solicitor?
Just a couple things. What's the driving force to have the truck camera policy? Is that like a police camera type of thing where things are being, like their days being recorded? What's the policy for that?
Yeah, so it's mainly safety and accountability, not just for our truck people, but for people that are around it. Oftentimes, sanitation trucks, especially, people accuse them of
Doing things?
doing things when sometimes the cameras don't show that.
Okay.
That's not just a dash camera, this is.
It's essentially a dash cam.
And then the Somerset grant, what was the max, what was the amount that we were going to set aside for that?
150.
Okay. And then as far as the data center zoning, you know, I'm fine with pursuing this. I just want to make sure before we vote on it that we review it and make sure that we're happy with everything. So if it gets delayed a month, I don't mind doing that just to make sure that we get everything right.
My only question to that is, we've already started the process, so for one to come in now, they still would have to abide by this, right?
So if one came in now, they'd have to come in and we're like, our catch-all provisions, they have to go for a special exception. If they go for a special exception, we're probably gonna be looking at these and more provisions to apply against.
So we're covered. Anybody comes in now, we're still covered, even if we take a month long.
In one way, shape, or form.
Okay, all right. That's,
No?
yeah.
Again, not to jump into the race portion, we do have the zoning hearing board cases. Those do come before our action item meeting. Well, really what we're looking for from our office is, do you have any direction from us as to those three options for those, whether you want to remain neutral, let the zoning hearing board do its thing, provide a letter of support, or actively oppose.
I mean, if, like me, I would just say neutral. I don't have any problems per se with any of them, but if, I mean, if I'm outvoted, I'm outvoted, but I don't see why we need to oppose it.
Brett? Derek?
Yeah, I agree. We're just talking about this storage place, right?
Both of them. The right, the
Storage
car
place,
and the car wash.
I get,
So I'm not done on the car wash yet.
Well, you got three that say we don't, I'm just saying we have three that feel that they don't need a solicitor.
Here's my concerns, okay? Once we give special variances in a certain area, the next guy that comes down the road is gonna want. You got another car wash that's been there 20+ years that this guy might put out of business.
The use variance. It's not, you're not changing the zone. Well, you're not changing the zone. It's just, he's asking for a use.
It opens the door though, right?
So there's no precedential value in the sense that the zoning hearing board is bound by it, but it's a use variance, so it's a change from what's allowed in.
I mean, if that's the case, then, you know, for the storage, we're looking for a 23-foot variance. So is that to say that somebody else wants to come in and get a 23-foot variance that they would get it?
So they got the argument. We passed it once. I mean,
Well, if you go to, I mean, I'm just trying to use logic for both.
I'm
If you're gonna oppose one because you're worried about variances being proved in the future, then you would have to oppose the variance for the 23-foot high one also. Just to be consistent.
okay.
And then different, and this is just my opinion, on the storage, you're in an industrial area
Yeah.
that's not affected, so we wouldn't. If something came in front of us, I would feel that, I want to solicit it there, because I don't want the storage thing coming next door to a residential area. It's completely different. This is out of the way industrial area, and nobody's gonna see it.
One of the things we could do is note that more neutrality on both in a letter. But that concerns were raised as to, the potential impact on other existing car washes and
They
the.
both got to go through zoning first. We got time to, you know what I mean?
Well, no,
Now,
the
next
zoning
week.
the zoning hearing board's next week, Joe, so it's either we're neutral or we send Mike there opposing and stating why we're opposing it.
What I'm offering is we could also send a letter saying we're neutral, but comments were raised as to the concern for the car wash one, of the concern of, the impact on existing business.
What do you guys want? You guys are it.
Well, I already said what I thought, so.
Derek? Right?
Yeah, I think neutrality would be,
Yeah.
makes sense to me.
Right? You good with the letter from the solicitor doing that's neutral? With the
So
concern?
if we have, to ask a question, if we have a recommendation, so for example, data center, where I was kind of pushing it like 500 feet instead of business or something like that, or the outdoor bathrooms for the car wash, that we have, which I don't think makes much sense. If we pass them on the zoning board, we don't get a chance to have those recommendations, we don't get a chance to oppose that as a commissioner.
Well, I'm not sure if that will come through the land development or not. I'd rather us make the comment now in the letter. And the zoning hearing board can pick it up. If they still have to come before us for land development, then that would be another opportunity to raise the issue, because that can, your point, right, that gets beyond the use itself. That's like the actual stuff they're building. I said, with what they're doing to the site, I haven't looked at it to see whether that requires land development. Maybe they're expecting. Sure.
So we have learned after the ball. We're not.
Right, I'd want us to make that comment now about. Just the number of outdoor vacuums and Joe. And we do that, we can certainly do that by letter. That's not something that's really like an evidentiary thing that we need to get into or an expert or anything else.
Yeah, I can agree to go neutral with the letter as long as we can have an opportunity to put our concerns in writing to the zoning board.
Well, that's what the letter.
Yeah, but that's how we go. All right. Okay. All right, we'll do that. We'll send a letter, so the zoning board has it before their meeting next week. Thank you. One other thing that to Somerset, Mike, for the grant, who's gonna be responsible for the
HOA?
HOA we have nothing to do with it on maintaining this.
No, this is the HOA's stormwater basin. It's theirs.
They're gonna handle the contractor. It's their baby.
Even afterward, once it's built, they have to.
They can't come to
maintain it.
us and say, we're not happy.
That's
We're
one
out
of
of
the
it.
additional reasons
Yep.
why they're doing the work, not us.
Yep,
It's been going on for a while.
yep. And that's why don't fall back on us if they're not happy.
All right, we'll move along to a manager's report, which is filling in for George Needles is Ray Fuller.
All right, so Mike covered two of the items, so kind of skip over those. So
Oh, he didn't cover them all?
Okay.
No. So Winter Storm Fern, disaster declaration was issued. While the overall impacts were manageable, cleanup operations were challenging due to the snow and ice conditions. The February Commissioners meeting agenda will include an item to ratify that disaster declaration. The EMS study was received, the draft data report was received from EMS study. Just asking the commissioners to review that document in advance. The consultant will be coming from Texas, and he'll be presenting at the March caucus meeting. So if you have any questions or anything, make sure you bring them to that meeting. We have 2 handicap parking space requests, both on West Lawhead Avenue. They'll be on the agenda for the commissioners meeting in February for approval. And we have a stormwater resignation. Nicole Whitaker has indicated she will be resigning from the Stormwater Authority. That will be included as a item on the February Commissioners meeting agenda.
Anybody have anything for the manager?
Yeah, just one thing. I guess it's for Derek and the manager, or, right, more for Derek. We're gonna have a nomination next week? Yeah. Okay. So we need to put that on the agenda also. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
The,
He knows about it.
the winter storm, do you know, is there any money allocated because of this, since the county did a declaration? Did the state do it? So there's probably no any money there. Thank you. All right, then we'll move along to our treasury report. Sorry, so late, Ms. Caitlin.
There's not too much in here. We have resolutions that will be in your Board of Commissioners agenda as well, to just change the signers for the new commissioners on our pension account and our OPEB account. There are a few escrow releases that will also be up for consideration. There is one more that I will provide to you before the board meeting. Trash exonerations, there are only 2 on the list this month for $762.30 in total. And the list of bills is also included in your packet for a total of $1 million, $60,484.50. Other than that, that is everything for my report.
Thank you. Anybody have anything for the treasurer? Not, we'll move along to the commissioners, move along to Vice President Joe Biacco.
Just a couple quick things. We got some new equipment. So we got a new loader came in today, a rubber tire loader. With the Highway and Sanitation Department, and one of their new snow toys worked very well. We bought a piece of equipment that the guys stand behind it. It's just basically a snow plow on 4 wheels to do all the sidewalks we're required to do. And we saved a lot of back pain this snowstorm, I'll tell you that. The guys loved it. And the only thing I want to add, the Sewer Authority votes on a new agreement with Delcor. It's usually a 25-year agreement, and I don't see no issues or whatever. We're probably gonna pass that and go forward with another 25 years with Delcor.
Anybody have anything for Commissioner Biacco? Our street sweeper, that's all the training done with that? We're getting
I
ready
don't know
to
if
go
all the
for spring?
training's done yet, but it's here. They've tested it. I mean, it's, you know,
Springtime's coming.
yeah, it don't clean snow.
Yo.
Thank you.
All right, we'll continue on to Commissioner Gaudioso.
Thank you. Everybody, good evening again. I really don't have anything else to report on. I think I highlighted all my concerns throughout the meeting tonight. I think we settled the issue with the sending the solicitor or sending a letter to the zoning hearing board. All my reports should be on file and for review. So anybody has any questions for me, I'll be happy to answer them.
Does anybody have anything for Commissioner Gaudioso? If not, we'll move along to Commissioner Hankins.
Yeah, the administrative and finance, all those reports are on file. I think it was pretty much covered throughout all of the treasury report, the management report for admin and finance. Parks and Rec and community, obviously we got the community events calendar in file. Recreation took a February off, but we're gearing up for March Spring Bingo. So March 28th will be the next event for recreation, which is the Spring Bingo. And then also, Mike, I know I met with the recreation and working on putting some edits to probably send over your way on that YSO agreement, just some recommendations that I kind of saw in there. So just working through that agreement, try to see if we can get things to align, but
Is one of them to remove that $8 fee?
possible.
I hope.
That's all I got. Thanks. Any
Now-
questions? I'm sorry, any questions?
Are we gonna get a copy of of the recommendations from?
Yeah, once I get
Okay.
started on it, yeah.
Okay.
I got it in a Word document a couple days ago, so I'm just gonna add comments to it and let,
Oh, no problem. Yes, it doesn't have to be done yesterday, trust me. Just sworn.
gotcha. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, just for me and Brett have been, we've been meeting on a weekly basis
Yeah.
with the staff, going over our committees. So we just want the board to know that it's been very productive. I think we're both learning a lot. And, I encourage the rest of the board to do that also.
No, colleagues want to meet with me.
That's great.
So.
All right,
Great.
we'll move along to Commissioner Derek Olliston.
Good evening. Nothing much to report from the police, although during the storm event, there was a loss of life event I was made aware of. It's very regrettable to hear about that. And in reference to meeting to solidify things, Ed and I did talk, and we're gonna be meeting up to shore up everything that we need to shore up. And I'll be meeting with Ray to follow up for next meeting, any police reports. So that's all I have. Anybody have any questions for me? Let's take, not from them. Okay.
We'll move along to, since nobody has any questions, move along to my report. The fire marshal and the emergency management reports are on file. Derek and I, Ray, could try to set that up for us for March to, what was that, fourth at 6:30. We're going to open up communications with the Upper Chichester Fire Department. There's a new regime there. We just want to be on the same page and see what their concerns are. I know what our concerns are as a township and the future, not for just this board, but for another board down the road. I think it's a good partnership with the EMS that we have. And I think it's in the right direction to have the same partnership with the fire department. And we're going to open up that communication hopefully in March. So other than that, anybody have anything for me? If not, we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?